around 600 to 700 attacked the police station. Now this becomes crucial because still now a lot of questions were being asked from the police authorities. Were they caught napping and was there inaction that led to this violence? The FIR says unruly and violent crowd pelted stones at the police. So why was there no sort of retaliation? Was the police not prepared? Remember, there was a video that was put out by Monu Manesar. Why was there no heed given to that video? All of those questions still remain unanswered. The FIR also says 70 people till now have been taken into custody and about 44 FIRs also have been registered. But as I pointed out, there is still a lot that doesn't add up as far as the sequence of events is concerned. So let's pose the big questions that still remain unanswered. The first, as I pointed out, was the violence a result of the police inaction? Were cops, as far as Haryana police are concerned, were they caught napping? The second big question is, why was there no action taken post that video that was put out by Monu Manesar? Why was there no sort of threat perception on the ground? The other question is, the police has been saying that Monu Manesar has been absconding since the month of February, but this is a man who is extremely active on social media. He's been putting out videos as well. So how come his location cannot be traced till now? The other question also, as I pointed out, one of course is regarding to Monu Manesar as to why his location cannot be traced. The other big question is, where did the arms and ammunition in fact come from? These are big questions that will need answers to. The other is, as I pointed out earlier, the violence was reported not just in Nuh, but the other surrounding areas as well. So who in fact led the violence to move beyond Nuh? Because as I pointed out yesterday, the situation reached in fact Gurugram as well. So let's break down all those details. Let's also get in our colleague Anvit, who in fact has been tracking these developments for us. He's now joining us on the broadcast. Anvit, you've been speaking to a lot of people on the ground. You've been tracking the situation as well. Could you first help our viewers understand what does the situation in and around Nuh currently look like?
Yeah, see, we are right now at the main Alwar road in Nuh, and you can see this is a residential area, and one of the houses, that were gutted and that were torched by the mob during the violence. There are many houses and a temple too ahead that was vandalized by the mob, and there are people who had witnessed violence on the first day when this all vandalism took place. सर, आप लोग उस दिन यहीं पे थे मंडे को जब पूरा वाकया हुआ. किस तरह से भीड़ आई, कितने बजे हुआ और कितनी देर रहा पूरा वायलेंस?
सर, ये 1:30-2 बजे के लगभग का टाइम था. इधर से पल्ली रोड से भी कुछ लोग आए थे, 100-150, और इधर से भी 100 रोड से 250-300 आदमी हो गए जी इकट्ठे. यहाँ पुजारी के इसमें बढ़ गए जी, पुजारी के साथ मारपीट के उसके पैसे लूट लिए और जहाँ गिड़ पत्थर फेंके जी इसके मंदिर के ऊपर. फिर इसकी बाइक खड़ी थी भीतर मंदिर के अंदर, उनमें से निकाल के उसको आग लगा दिया, हवाले कर दिया. फिर उस भीड़ इधर से आई जी. फिर मैं उतर के मैं तो पुजारी को मार रहे हैं, मैंने पुजारी को पकड़ के लेके चला गया यहाँ से मंदिर में ताला लगा के. फिर वो वहाँ पे अपने घर के अंदर उसको बिठाते पुजारी को. फिर वो भीड़ इधर से आके मंदिर से सीधे इस दुकान में बढ़ गई जी, कपड़े की दुकान है. इसमें से कपड़े से लूटपाट की है और लूटपाट जितना लूटा गया वो लूट के ले गए और बाकी जो बचाओ इसमें आग लगा दीजिए. फिर ये शटर तोड़ने की कोशिश की. ये सराफे की दुकान है, देखो जो सर ताला टूटा हुआ आपकी उसमें आ जाएगा, देख लो सामने फिर फिक्स है. हाँ जी, जब वो टूटा नहीं है शटर से, फिर वो इधर गिड़ पत्थर फेंका जैन साहब की बिल्डिंग है जी. और ये इधर है लाजपत एडवोकेट, वकील है जी, कोर्ट में बैठता है, उसके घर पे गिड़ पत्थर फेंके इन लोगों ने.
तो बता रहे हैं कि भीड़ के पास काफी हथियार भी थे, काफी फायरिंग वगैरह भी
थे जी. डंडे भी थे, लाठी भी थी, गिड़ पत्थर भी थी, पिस्टल वगैरह भी थी. उन्होंने फायर भी किया सर यहाँ. हमने गिड़ पत्थर फेंके चलाई सर वहाँ से अपने बचाव के लिए.
तो यहाँ पे किसी को चोटें वगैरह आई मोहल्ले में?
हाँ सर, पुजारी को चोट लगी हुई है पुजारी के. और मेरे भी हाथ में थोड़ा सा लगा था, वो लग गया था कंकरी. कोई बात नहीं, मैंने अपने बचाव में समाज की बहन बेटियों के लिए, अब समाज के लोगों के लिए जी उसका बचाव किया, उनका मुकाबला डट कर किया. अगर मुझे अपने प्राणों की आहुति देनी पड़ेगी सनातन धर्म के लिए, मैं देने के लिए तैयार हूँ.
सर, आप भी यहाँ पे थे उस दिन. कितनी देर ये पूरा वाकया रहा, कितने देर पूरा वायलेंस रहा?
सर, ये करीब 1:30 बजे का वाकया है. 1:30 बजे शुरू हुआ उधर हाईवे पे, जो अपना NH है, तो उस पर शुरू हुआ. उसमें हजारों की संख्या में लोग निकल के जा रहे थे. उधर बजरंग दल वाली गाड़ियों पे जो बड़ी श्रद्धा जो अपने मंदिर में है पूजा करने के लिए आए थे, हर साल की भांति जैसे आते हैं, तो उन पे इन्होंने पथराव किया. ये कई गुटों में बटे हुए थे, कुछ लोग इधर थे, कुछ लोग उधर हमला कर रहे थे.
तो इस मोहल्ले में जो हुआ वो कितनी देर लगभग लोग यहाँ पे रहे, दंगाई कितनी देर तोड़फोड़ की?
यहाँ करीब 1-1.5 घंटे तक चला है, आपस में पत्थरबाजी चला है. अगर हमारे 50-60 बच्चे थे, उनके 300 थे, हथियारों से लैस थे, गोलियां बरसा रहे थे, हमारे पास कुछ नहीं थे. तो हमारे बच्चों ने पत्थर चलाए तो उनको भगा दिया. और अगर ये उनको नहीं रोकते तो सारा पूरा बाजार लूट जाता.
क्या प्रशासन से अभी काफी पुलिस वगैरह आ गई है, बट आपको लगता है वो पहले से इंतजाम होना चाहिए था, क्योंकि जब यात्रा निकल रही थी उस दौरान पुलिस कम थी?
इस मामले में बीजेपी सरकार बिल्कुल फेल रही है। अगर उनके बस की नहीं थी तो परमिशन क्यों दी उन लोगों को? उनकी सुरक्षा की गारंटी ली उन्होंने भी, हम सुरक्षा देंगे, लेकिन उस सुरक्षा देने में असमर्थ और हिंदुओं को तो मरने के लिए छोड़ दिया। हमारे हजारों हिंदुओं को वहाँ मंदिर पे जो शरणार्थी आए थे पूजा करने, उनको बंदी बना के रखा 5 घंटे तक। खट्टर सरकार कुछ नहीं कर पाई। बराबर से इन लोगों ने गोलियां बरसाई उन पे, हमारे काफी लोग मरे भी हैं, जिनको ये बहुत कम दिखा रहे हैं, लेकिन संख्या ज्यादा है उनकी मरने की। लेकिन ये लोग कोई सुरक्षा नहीं दे पाए। हमारे लोग, हिंदू लोग यहाँ डरे हुए हैं, सहमे हुए हैं। हमारी सुरक्षा की गारंटी कौन ले? इस सरकार के बस की तो है नहीं।
That Ridhima is the main question, that who would guarantee the safety of the people, because the police are saying that they were 800 in number at that day when the yatra was being taken out, Jalabhishek yatra, and the police had the prior information about the yatra. SP has gone on to say it on record while addressing the media that they had prior information. Meetings with peace committee was also done to ensure that this entire yatra finishes peacefully. But despite that, the results we know what has happened on ground, the kind of vandalism and the incidents of arson, not only in the first 2 days, but even till yesterday, like we saw from incidents were being reported from Gurugram. In sector 66, some shops were set afire by mobsters. Previously in sector 57 also, when a mob charged on a mosque and one imam was stabbed to death allegedly. So these incidents are repeatedly being reported, but see, the main point here is that why is police not being able to contain it? And despite the efforts that have been made, police are saying that their investigation is at a very initial level, even though they have arrested 116 people so far, and they are saying that they are yet to seek their custody. Once they are interrogated, only then more information will be taken from them. Three main aspects that the police are probing right now is that, one, what was the moment of of violence, that the moment from where the violence broke and it sparked, and then it snowballed into a bigger ruckus. Secondly, they want to know if there were any people who were mobilizing these rioters.
When you were speaking to the eyewitness also, this is exactly what he is pointing out, that these people had a lot of arms and ammunition, and that really is the puzzling bit. Where did this arm and ammunition actually come from? And the second, as you're rightly pointing out, if there was intel, why was there no action on the ground? So despite the fact the police coming out and saying that these are the number of people we've arrested and these are the number of FIRs that we've registered, and we will be giving all possible help to the victims and their families, the main questions in terms of arms and ammunition and whether the intel was ignored and was this an intel failure still hasn't been answered.
Exactly, and arms and I see pistols were fired even today early morning. We were at Naladeshwar temple, from where this Jalabhishek yatra had started, and it was supposed to go to another religious place. When this yatra started from that temple, the priest, we spoke to the priest, and he told us on camera that these rioters had climbed the hilly area around that hilly terrain around that temple, and they had been firing on that temple. We have one of the witnesses from that temple. सर, आप उस समय नलडेश्वर मंदिर में थे जब ये यात्रा निकाली जा रही थी, किस तरह से लोगों ने पथराव शुरू किया और गोलीबारी भी हो रही थी वहाँ पे? बता।
जी सर, गोलीबारी भी चली है, फिर उसके बाद पहाड़ों पे से पब्लिक आई है, मेडिकल साइड से भी चली ओड है, और पीछे से राजस्थान तरफ से चढ़ी है पब्लिक। गोलीबारी खूब चलाई है उन्होंने। कई हमारे साथी घायल भी हो गए थे।
कितने लोग, कितनी देर, कई घंटे बता रहे लोग फंसे रहे मंदिर में जब तक वो पुलिस नहीं आ गई?
सर, हम सुबह गए थे 8 साढ़े 8 बजे के आसपास, और तकरीबन 7 बज गया हमको वहाँ से, जब फोर्स आई थी, जबकि हम वहाँ से निकले थे। फोर्स ने निकाला था हमको।
So at least 5 to 6 hours, they were stuck inside the temple, because outside the riots were going on and violence was unfolding. Many people were there, even with swords in their hands, sticks and rods, and some also had pistols that were being fired at the temple and at the people who were stuck inside the temple. So despite all this, when police comes out and says, see, SP short while ago he held a press conference and he was asked that people were having pistols and other weapons in the religious procession, are they allowed to do so? Also, the other party that had intercepted this procession and that allegedly stone pelted, even they had weapons, as it is being alleged by the other side. Police have said that yes, they have come across videos and footages also in which people can be seen, flashing weapons and brandishing pistols. Police have said that we are trying to find out, but entire case goes on to the one fact that the police have been saying that they have just arrested 116 people whose custody is yet to be given to them by the court, and once the custody is given, only then they will be interrogated and the source of the weapon will also be zeroed down upon.
Okay, Anvit, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Our colleagues, in fact, have filed multiple ground reports right through the day for us to understand what does the situation look like. Let's take a look at those reports.
We are currently reporting from the cyber hub of the Gurugram city. As of now, as far as the district administration is concerned, there is no official order yet saying that the offices have been asked to remain shut or they have been asked to encourage work from home facility. But there are some of the employees who have received call from their HR. They have been directed that until further order, they have to perform the exercise of the work from home facility in view of the violence which is currently erupting in some part of the Haryana state in particular. These are the visuals we are showing you from this particular place. You can see in comparison to other days, there is less crowd which can be seen. Only a few handful of people have been asked to come here, and there is no official order yet from the district administration. But what we do know is that only few of the people can be seen here at the cyber hub city. There are some other companies as well who have been advising their employees to exercise work from home until the further orders.
मैंने कल ही गुड़गांव में ऑफिस ज्वाइन किया है। मैं कॉर्पोरेट एम्प्लॉय हूं, बट जैसे ही मैं कल ऑफिस के लिए निकल रहा था, सुबह जैसे ही मैंने कैब बुक करी, बट एचआर का कॉल आता है कि यहाँ पे सिचुएशन थोड़ी कंट्रोल में नहीं है, तो आप बेटर है वर्क फ्रॉम होम करिए। बट जैसे आज भी मैंने जैसे ऑफिस के लिए निकला, बट ऑफिस से कॉल आता है फॉर अ टाइम बीइंग आप मंडे से ऑफिस ज्वाइन करिएगा, आप 4-5 दिन घर से काम करिए, है ना। जैसे कि यहाँ राइट्स चल रहे हैं, ऐसा कोई गवर्नमेंट से कोई गाइडलाइंस नहीं है कि आपका वर्क फ्रॉम होम रहेगा 4 to 5 डेज फॉर अ टाइम बीइंग, ऐसा कुछ नहीं बताया। बट ऑफिस ने कहा है कि आप अपनी प्रोटेक्शन के लिए, अपनी सिक्योरिटी के लिए घर से ही काम करिए। मेरे ख्याल से मैं कल गुड़गांव में गया था कुछ सामान वगैरह लेने, तो मैंने कुछ 10 किलोमीटर का एरिया कवर किया। मुझे तो बहुत नॉर्मल लगा, ऐसा कुछ मुझे यहाँ नहीं लगा कि गुड़गांव में बहुत सारा सिचुएशन खराब है। हाँ, ये तो बेनिफिट ही है एम्प्लॉय का कि हम घर से काम कर रहे हैं, हमारी सिक्योरिटी पे हमारे घर वाले भी खुश हैं कि चलो बंदा सेफ हैगा, तो ये तो बढ़िया चीज है।
भिवाड़ी में हिंसा के दूसरे दिन अब पुलिस लगातार गश्त चल रही है। इस वक्त आप ये तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं कि पुलिस यहाँ पर लगातार जो पूरे इलाके जहाँ पर तोड़फोड़ हुई है वहाँ पर गश्त चल रही है। लगातार पुलिस की पेट्रोलिंग कर रही है उन इलाकों में। आज हालांकि शांति है, लेकिन तोड़फोड़ काफ़ी ज़्यादा हुई है यहाँ पर। आप देख सकते हैं कि किस तरीके से इस चिकन सेंटर को इसको तहस नहस किया गया। यहाँ पर तस्वीरों में देखेंगे कि आप देखेंगे किस तरीके से सारे तमाम जो ग्लास है वो तोड़े गए। इस वक्त यह जो पुलिस की टीम है वो भी तमाम जो सबूत है वहाँ लेने की कोशिश कर रही है। सारी चीज़ें काम पुलिस की कार्रवाई लगातार जारी है यहाँ पर। और क्योंकि जिस तरीके की जो तोड़फोड़ आइडेंटिफाई किया, 9 लोगों को पुलिस ने अभी तक गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया। 3 नाबालिग है जिनको निरुद्ध किया गया, यानी कि पुलिस ने अब कार्रवाई शुरू कर दी है जिनने तोड़फोड़ की। सीसीटीवी तस्वीरों में देखा होगा कि इसी जो समा को चिकन कॉर्नर है, यहीं पर हाथों में डंडे लिए हुए, सरिये लिए हुए आई थी भीड़।
And you can see behind me, these are the vehicles that have been damaged, particularly, these two vehicles, two emergency response vehicles of the Haryana police, both from in fact Gurugram, one from Dola police station and one from Manesar, which were vandalized by the mobsters and then were brought back here using cranes. You can see the condition of these vans, they clearly testify of the violence and of the vandalism that was unleashed. In fact, you can see when this van came under the attack by the mobsters, you can see the beret caps of the policemen still inside. In fact, I would request my camera person Ravi Ranjanji to show that this another vehicle that's here. You can clearly see blood stains on the airbags that were pulled out when this incident took place. You can clearly see these blood stains here, and in fact a police cap is also there, a walkie-talkie set is also on the back rear seat. So the condition of the car itself speaks volumes of the kind of violence that had unleashed by the mob. You can see some of the vehicles there that were torched on Monday. In fact, yesterday also police are claiming that some mobsters had come to this police station. This is the bus in which police are claiming that the mobsters had stormed this police station. At least more than 200 rioters were there in this bus who had come here, and then they rammed this bus into the boundary wall of the police station. They went inside, and then all the the vandalism took place. The computers were broken, the entire police station was vandalized, the vehicles there were torched. This is the way how they entered the police station when they rammed this bus into the boundary wall, and then they all jumped in. This is what the police are saying, that this is how they managed entry, and then the entire police station was vandalized. Police staff was thrashed, and then they also tried to set a fire, but because the police had some backup, they managed to save the police station from being set afire.
We are currently reporting from Sector 67 of the Gurugram district, where some of the miscreants set this particular place on fire, and you can still see that even after many hours this place continues to be on the fire. There are some of the, in fact we can see in the visuals as well that the smoke still is coming out from that particular place, and this appears to be a scrap shop which has been torched by some of the miscreants yesterday in the violence which is currently underway in some part of the Haryana state in particular. We are joined by one of the person who appears to be in know of as to what exactly took place. शौकत जी, यहाँ पे किस चीज का कारोबार होता है, क्या काम था यहाँ पे?
ये कूलर भी था, इसमें गत्ता का जो दुकान था, गत्ता का दुकान था वो। अच्छा। सिलाई मशीन भी था। अच्छा। टेलर वाला। अच्छा। और वही चीज था, और जो जिसका दुकान है वो सारा चला गया। एक ताऊ ने रखा है, वो ताऊ उस टाइम नहाने के लिए गया था, आते आते आधा रास्ता में देखा तो आग लगा दिया है। अब क्या कर रहा है, तो सरकार देखभाल करेगा, वो तो हमारा हाथ में नहीं है। तो सारा लोकल बंदा था, 8-10 बंदा था। कितने लोग थे? 8 से 10 बंदा था। हमारा पास पुलिस आया नहीं है, पुलिस आया था उस टाइम जब बंदा आग लगा के भाग गया, उसी टाइम पुलिस आया था।
ये आपकी दुकान है? किस चीज का काम करते थे आप?
कूलर का, रजाई गद्दों का। अच्छा। कूलर का रजाई गद्दों का। अल्लाह बेचा जाने कैसे जला दिया, मैं तो बंद करके इधर कुछ चला गया था।
कल कितने बजे हुआ था वाकया?
यही 3-2:30 के बाद। नुकसान तो इसमें बहुत लंबा है, सारे थान सब कुछ जल गया, कूलर सब जल गए सारे।
We are right now in a hospital, and you can see it's a hospital where right now there are no patients because all the patients have been discharged. But the kind of loss to property that has been caused because mobsters charged onto this hospital on Monday and on the evening, and the complete destruction, as you can see, all the OPD has been completely destroyed. The outdoor patient department, and other than that, even inside of the hospital there has been destruction by the mob and vandalism. As clearly these pictures show that you can see the area. This is the entrance of the hospital where the patients go in to register, and you can see how the kind of vandalism that this place testifies of. In fact, we spoke to the owners. They do not want to come on camera because they fear that the mobs may identify them, but they are saying that somehow they managed to save their lives, and they had left this hospital on that day, but then they came back because they were expecting that there would be some injuries to people who might want to come to the hospital. However, they have said that so far none of the patients have reported to them, but last night 2 women were brought from the local areas in emergency. They were expecting babies, and they had delivered babies here. Police are saying that despite all this destruction, they have maintained enough deployment. They have been saying that we are trying to contain the violence. They have said that we have also set up a dedicated team to monitor social social media and to contain rumor mongering. But when we speak to locals and we speak to people like these whose properties have been destroyed, they have been saying that continuous violence and repetitive incidents of violence are being reported, not just from Nuh where we are standing right now. This has obviously been the epicenter of this entire ruckus and entire violence that unfolded on Monday evening.
Well, we'll keep tracking all these developments. We'll keep a close eye as far as the ground situation also is concerned. Time now for us to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with lots more.
There was a foodie
and local police. The police are saying that they are trying and they're maintaining enough deployment to contain violence and to make sure that no other incident of violence are reported. But if we talk about locals, and when we spoke to locals, they have been alleging that the administration has been a step behind when it comes to controlling and making arrangements to contain violence. In fact, even till yesterday evening, some incidents of violence were reported from Gurugram, from Sector 66. Other than that, early morning yesterday, incident of violence was also reported from Sector 57 in Gurugram, where one imam was allegedly stabbed to death while another person was critically injured when a mob charged a building that where a board of a mosque was also was also put up. So police are saying that they have identified culprits, the arrests are being made, deployment has been ensured, but the locals at the same time have been alleging otherwise.
Anvit, considering this is a very alarming situation, could you explain what the areas are which are on alert at this moment?
Nuh. So Nuh certainly remains one of the epicenters where we have been reporting from since the beginning. Other than that, Sona area where Ambedkar Chowk in Sona, where yesterday more than a dozen of shops were gutted, were torched by the mobsters, and some carts of local shopkeepers were also set afire and they were looted. When we went there, when we spoke to locals and the shopkeepers and those who witnessed this violence, they said that it was around 4 p.m. on Monday when this mob started stone pelting, and when they tried to contain, when they tried to pacify the mob, then they were also targeted and their shops were burnt and their items were looted. Also, other than that, police are saying that some areas in Gurugram, like Sector 57, where a mob had targeted a mosque and an imam was stabbed to death allegedly. Another person who was there were at least 4 persons. 2 of them, one was killed, one was critically injured, while 2 of them managed to escape when the police intervened timely. Other than that, Sector 66 is another area from where yesterday incidents in violence in Gurugram was reported. At least 4 to 5 shops were gutted, and therefore repetitive incidents of violence are being reported, and arson is also continuously being reported.
All right, Anvit, thank you so much for giving us all of that information. Do stay with us. We also want to get a word in from CNN News 18's Nikhil Lakwani, who's joining us live from Sona, one of the areas which is on alert. Nikhil, considering that Sona, as we mentioned, is an area which is on alert, could you tell us what the situation is like?
So Aisha, we are currently reporting from the sector 67 of the Gurugram district. In particular, if we talk about the situation in Sohna, the internet services remain suspended. In fact, Sohna is one of the subdivision of the Gurugram district where the school, colleges, be it the private or the government institutions, they have been asked to remain shut in particular. But if we talk about the situation overall in Gurugram district, except for Sohna, the situation largely is peaceful. There is no restriction on any of the commute. In fact, the offices, including that of the educational institutions as well, they all have been opened up from the side of the district administration. But currently we are reporting from sector 67. This is the same place, Aisha, where some of the miscreants, close to 8 to 10, they set this particular place on fire, and still you can see that even after 18 hours of fire, the smoke can be seen coming out from this particular place. In fact, the owner of this shop is in a short while from now, he is going to speak to us live about what exactly unfolded yesterday. But if we talk about the further details which has been shared to us at around 3 p.m. yesterday, some of the miscreants, 8 to 10 in number, they came out out of nowhere and they torched this small shop on fire. And the owner of the same place is there is this Kallu Mia, who is of 75 years of age. He resided this particular place, and this was the only place for him to sleep and also to reside here in the Gurugram city. His remaining family members, they reside in the city of Moradabad in Uttar Pradesh, and now even after 18 hours there is no help which has been extended to him by either the police personals from the Gurugram administration, or for that matter the district administration in particular. So no help has been extended. In fact, the neighbor as well, they have been helping him to douse the fire at the earliest. But you can see in the visuals that all that Kallu Mia had here in Gurugram has been lost in this fire. And this used to be a shop of mattress and also the coolers which Kallu Mia used to run at this particular place. But he has been saying continuously that he was not guilty, and there's no reason as to why anybody would set fire on his shop. But you can see that this is the the picture which is coming in very strongly. There are many of the people, when these kind of incidents take place, despite being at no fault, they suffer the most.
44 FIRs have been registered, 80 people have been arrested. The cases have been lodged on some other than 600 people as well. Then there are also 5 people who've been reported to be dead. Of course, that includes 2 of the home guards. Now, the post-mortem of the home guards has been completed. The report says that the deaths are due to severe injuries located on their bodies. Now, the curfew in Nuh continues. The Mahan Panchayat in Manesar is going to be at 11 a.m. today. The cases are against 60 people in Palwal also. Now, the post-mortem reports of the 2 home guards and the Gurugram individual, Mohammed Shah's, show that they died due to severe injuries. As we mentioned, they were bludgeoned to death. We're crossing over to CNN News 18's Unrest to tell us more about this. Unrest, over to you.
Yeah, see, what the postmortem reports have to reveal is that these 2 home guards who were trapped by the mob and who were beaten repeatedly and mercilessly, they have died of multiple blows, is what the PN report details, and that repetitive beatings and thrashing using sticks and rods was the reason probably that they were killed. Also, injuries from abrasion.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Let's talk about the other big story that we're tracking this evening, which is the row over the Delhi Ordinance or the Delhi Services Bill that only continues to escalate. Yesterday, you had the GNCTD that in fact that bill was tabled as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. Now, this is a bill that looks to replace the Delhi Ordinance Bill. But as I pointed out, the political war of words still continues. You have parties like the TDP, the YSRCP that in fact have supported this bill. But now the Aam Aadmi Party in fact is hit out at these parties, saying that there must have been some compulsion to support the bill. Also going on to say, we heard from MP of the Aam Aadmi Party, Raghav Chadha, that those parties that are supporting these bill in fact are anti-national. Remember, the Aam Aadmi Party has been involved in a political war of words ever since this proposal came to the table, calling it extremely unconstitutional as well as undemocratic.
Capital Territorial Services Amendment Bill, which is introduced in the Parliament. YSR Congress Party and our leader Sri YS Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu has taken a decision to support it, and we will be supporting the bill and ensure that the bill is passed in the Parliament.
इस खतरनाक कानून को, राज्य सरकार को की शक्तियों को ध्वस्त करने वाले कानून को सिर्फ दिल्ली के परिप्रेक्ष्य से नहीं देखना चाहिए। अगर ये कानून और ये प्रयोग दिल्ली में सफल हो गया, भाजपा इसे दिल्ली में लागू करने में सफल हो गई, तो फिर ये देश के तमाम गैर भाजपा राज्यों में लागू किया जाएगा और गैर भाजपा राज्यों की सरकारों की शक्तियां छीनी जाएंगी।
विरोध कर ही दिए हैं, लेकिन ये सरकार कोई तो सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। जो मर्जी और धड़ल्ले से पास करा देते, इसको आप कह सकते कि बुलडोजिंग किए जाते हैं। उधर एक बुलडोजर बाबा है, कहीं बुलडोजर मामा है, सदन में भी बुलडोजर चलना शुरू हो गए हैं।
Let's also now bring in our colleague Payal, who in fact is now joining us on the broadcast. Payal, the political war of words as far as the Delhi Ordinance or the Delhi Services Bill, that still continues. What is interesting is the reaction that is now coming in from the Aam Aadmi Party, who've hit out at parties like the YSRCP, the TDP and others, who in fact have supported the bill. Raghav Chadha has gone on to say that there must have been some compulsions for these parties to support the bill, and these parties are anti-national. Are we going to see this now set the narrative as far as 2024 is concerned?
Well, as far as parties like YSR and TDP are concerned, and also BJD, as parties which are friendly to the ruling government. So as far as that is concerned, there is no doubt in anybody's mind, including the Aam Aadmi Party. Now, the government has on their part said that they have not sought support from anybody. Ridhima, they have not asked any party to come out and support. These have done this because the government has not spoken to them seeking their support for the floor. The government has also said that floor strategy is different from having election strategy. So obviously, when the BJP is looking at Andhra Pradesh elections, they probably are looking at opposing the YSR Congress, given the fact that their vote is different. And you've seen what has happened in the BJP ruled Odisha in the Lok Sabha and the Assembly elections is also concerned. So that is the argument that the government really has been giving. But as far as the numbers, the BJP is sitting pretty confident in both houses. They have overwhelming majority in the Lok Sabha, and as far as the Rajya Sabha is concerned, also they have decent numbers. They have 112 numbers far as the NDA is concerned. BJD is 9 and YS, and of course CPP has 1. Obviously, the BJP, but that the government that what Aam Aadmi Party.
Yeah. Okay, we seem to be losing that audio line with Payal. We'll try and get her back. But as I pointed out, a political war of words that still continues as far as the Delhi Services Bill is concerned, which, as I pointed out, was in fact tabled as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. Now, the reason that we're saying the political war of words continues is because of the reaction that is coming in from the Aam Aadmi Party, who in fact have hit out at parties like the TDP, the YSRCP, who in fact have supported this bill. Raghav Chadha of the Aam Aadmi Party, as I pointed out, has gone on to say that this is the most undemocratic thing that has happened as far as the national capital is concerned. He's also pointed out that this is extremely unfair to the 2 crore people of the national capital. Before we get our colleague back, let's take a look at some other political reactions.
India Alliance has decided to oppose the Delhi ordinance because it takes the power of Delhi and gives it to Mr. Amit Shah. The people of Delhi has voted as state government, which has 70-member assembly, and there is a government in place. Therefore, that power Amit Shah is taking out to his office. We are against it. India Alliance is against this attack on the federal structure. Therefore, yesterday itself, we had Congress party stand in the Lok Sabha by our leader, opposition leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary ji has made it very clear. And after that, Shashi Tharoor ji and other leaders of the India Alliance has made it very clear that the India Alliance is going to oppose this Delhi ordinance, which is against the federal setup of India.
Now shifting our focus to some other breaking developments now coming in. Rahul Gandhi in fact has filed a rejoinder over Purnesh Modi's reply to his plea for stay on conviction in the 2019 defamation case. Now what we're understanding is Rahul Gandhi in his rejoinder has stated that Purnesh Modi's response calling Gandhi arrogant is slanderous. The reply uses slanderous terms such as arrogant to describe the petitioner only because he was refusing to apologize. Using criminal processes and its consequences under RP Act to arm twist in the petitioner into apologizing is abusive process of law. This is what Rahul Gandhi has in fact told the Supreme Court. We'll try and get more details, but this is Rahul Gandhi in fact filing that rejoinder over Purnesh Modi's reply to his plea for a stay in the conviction as far as a 2019 defamation case is concerned. Let's also now bring in our legal correspondent Ananya Patnagar, who in fact is getting us these details. Ananya, give us the details.
Well, definitely, Rahul Gandhi has now filed this rejoinder before the topmost court of the country. Remember that the Supreme Court is all set to hear this particular matter on Friday, where Rahul Gandhi's plea for a stay on the conviction would actually be heard by the Supreme Court. Remember that Rahul Gandhi, in his response and rejoinder to the affidavit that was filed by Purnesh Modi in this particular case, has clearly said that, the reply of Purnesh Modi used slanderous words like, calling Rahul Gandhi arrogant, and the process of law cannot be used to actually arm twist a particular person to actually apologize. And in fact, he says that, apology is something that should not be there, and he can actually fight, and he has a good case for a stay on his conviction, is what has been stated by Rahul Gandhi. Now, remember that Rahul Gandhi had challenged the orders of the Gujarat High Court, in fact, and in fact, a very, very peculiar point that, in fact, Rahul Gandhi also raises into his a rejoinder is that the Modi community is not an identifiable class of people. The Modi community is not defined as an identifiable class of people, and hence the whole argument that he has completely defamed a particular community is something that is not acceptable, and he has a good case to get a stay on his conviction. In fact, he also says that MPs and MLAs who are judged by the RP Act are in fact under an exceptional circumstance that their conviction should be stayed. If you remember that if at all a stay on his conviction is granted, then Rahul Gandhi will actually be able to fight the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. And not only that, but also can reclaim his membership of the parliament. Remember that senior advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi, but constantly argued before the Gujarat High Court, had also made it clear that, Rahul Gandhi is not an ordinary person. He represents the mandate of the people of Wayanad, and that's the reason, that is another reason why, in fact, there should be a stay on his conviction. But the Gujarat High Court had refused to do so, clearly saying that no irreplaceable damage would be caused to, in fact, Rahul Gandhi if at all his parliamentary membership is not revoked, and hence a stay on his conviction was not granted by the Gujarat High Court. Now, what would happen in the topmost court of the country is something that is a matter of time. There's a big question mark. We'll get to know only on Friday when the matter comes up before the Supreme Court of India.
So, Ananya, as you're pointing out, of course, Friday will be a very crucial day. And as you pointed out, this, of course, is going to be crucial as far as the political career for Rahul Gandhi is concerned. But just as far as the background of this case is concerned, just talk to us about the kind of hearings that we've seen and where does the case currently stand?
Well, if you remember, the case has travelled from the lowest level, from the trial court, where Rahul Gandhi was convicted and was sentenced to 2 years of imprisonment, though a stay on his sentence was actually granted, but a stay on the conviction was not granted by the trial court. And since Rahul Gandhi was convicted for 2 years, the Lok Sabha Secretariat had, in fact, disqualified Rahul Gandhi as a member of the parliament, following which Rahul Gandhi had approached the Sessions Court, where the appeal is currently pending. However, a stay on urgent stay on his conviction application was dismissed by the Sessions Court. Also, the matter then travelled to the Gujarat High Court. The Gujarat High Court too delivered a similar order granting no stay on his conviction, and then the matter actually reached the Supreme Court. Finally, where in fact Mahesh Jetlani had represented the complainant Purnesh Modi, while senior advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi had appeared for Rahul Gandhi into this particular case. And remember that Abhishek Manu Singhvi is the one who's spearheading the whole legal strategy when it comes to Rahul Gandhi's whole defamation case from the very beginning till the very end is concerned. And we'll have to wait for Friday as to what would Mr. Singhvi be arguing and whether or not the Supreme Court would be, inclined to grant a stay to Rahul Gandhi on his conviction in the 2019 defamation case. If you remember that this was a speech that was given out during, the parliamentary during the election in 2019, following which there was a complaint filed against Rahul Gandhi, and now Rahul Gandhi stands convicted in this particular case, though a stay on his conviction has still not been granted by any of the courts below, and it's now the Supreme Court that would be hearing this particular matter on Friday.
So that hearing on Friday, of course, will be very, very crucial, as Ananya is pointing out, with Rahul Gandhi filing that rejoinder in the Supreme Court as far as the defamation case is concerned. This is a developing story. We'll keep a close eye on it. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with lots more.
Multiple fractures, multiple abrasions and cuts were found on their body. Several injuries have been found during the postmortem report, which is indicative clearly of both of them being bludgeoned to death. Police are saying that they have identified the mobsters. At least 80 persons so far have been arrested, including those who were involved in these two murders. Other than that, police are saying that a total of 44 FIRs have been registered across Haryana, more than 20 from Nuh region, where this entire violence had started from. Other than those who have been booked and identified, more than 600 people, at least 500 to 600 people who were part of the mob have also been identified. Police are trying to make arrests, and those who have been arrested, they are being continuously questioned to identify more and to identify the main conspirators and orchestrators of this entire ruckus and of this entire violence. Other than that, police are saying that they have also ensured elaborate deployments. Over 30 companies of local police from across districts of Haryana, from be it Rewari, Rohtak, Sonipat, have been deployed in Nuh region. Other than Nuh, in Mewat, in Sona, and in Gurugram also. Other than that, Rapid Action Force, Central Reserve Police Force, and CAPFs have also been deployed in these areas, including firefighters and local police. The police are saying that they're trying and they're maintaining enough deployment to contain violence and to make sure that no other incident of violence are reported. But if we talk about locals, and when we spoke to locals, they have been alleging that the administration has been a step behind when it comes to controlling and making arrangements to contain violence. In fact, even till yesterday evening, some incidents of violence were reported from Gurugram, from Sector 66. Other than that, early morning yesterday, incident of violence was also reported from Sector 57 in Gurugram, where one imam was allegedly stabbed to death while another person was critically injured when a mob charged a building that where a board of a mosque was also was also put up. So police are saying that they have identified culprits, the arrests are being made, deployment has been ensured, but the locals at the same time have been alleging otherwise.
Anvit, considering this is a very alarming situation, could you explain what the areas are which are on alert at this moment?
Nuh. So Nuh certainly remains one of the epicenters where we have been reporting from since the beginning. Other than that, Sona area where Ambedkar Chowk in Sona, where yesterday more than a dozen of shops were gutted, were torched by the mobsters, and some carts of local shopkeepers were also set afire and they were looted. When we went there, when we spoke to locals and the shopkeepers and those who witnessed this violence, they said that it was around 4 p.m. on Monday when this mob started stone pelting, and when they tried to contain, when they tried to pacify the mob, then they were also targeted and their shops were burnt and their items were looted. Also, other than that, police are saying that some areas in Gurugram, like Sector 57, where a mob had targeted a mosque and an imam was stabbed to death allegedly. Another person who was there were at least 4 persons. 2 of them, one was killed, one was critically injured, while 2 of them managed to escape when the police intervened timely. Other than that, Sector 66 is another area from where yesterday incidents in violence in Gurugram was reported. At least 4 to 5 shops were gutted, and therefore repetitive incidents of violence are being reported, and arson is also continuously being reported.
All right, Anvit, thank you so much for giving us all of that information. Do stay with us. We also want to get a word in from CNN News 18's Nikhil Lakwani, who's joining us live from Sona, one of the areas which is on alert. Nikhil, considering that Sona, as we mentioned, is an area which is on alert, could you tell us what the situation is like?
So Aisha, we are currently reporting from the sector 67 of the Gurugram district. In particular, if we talk about the situation in Sohna, the internet services remain suspended. In fact, Sohna is one of the subdivision of the Gurugram district where the school, colleges, be it the private or the government institutions, they have been asked to remain shut in particular. But if we talk about the situation overall in Gurugram district, except for Sohna, the situation largely is peaceful. There is no restriction on any of the commute. In fact, the offices, including that of the educational institutions as well, they all have been opened up from the side of the district administration. But currently we are reporting from sector 67. This is the same place, Aisha, where some of the miscreants, close to 8 to 10, they set this particular place on fire, and still you can see that even after 18 hours of fire, the smoke can be seen coming out from this particular place. In fact, the owner of this shop is in a short while from now, he is going to speak to us live about what exactly unfolded yesterday. But if we talk about the further details which has been shared to us at around 3 p.m. yesterday, some of the miscreants, 8 to 10 in number, they came out out of nowhere and they torched this small shop on fire. And the owner of the same place is there is this Kallu Mia, who is of 75 years of age. He resided this particular place, and this was the only place for him to sleep and also to reside here in the Gurugram city. His remaining family members, they reside in the city of Moradabad in Uttar Pradesh, and now even after 18 hours there is no help which has been extended to him by either the police personals from the Gurugram administration, or for that matter the district administration in particular. So no help has been extended. In fact, the neighbor as well, they have been helping him to douse the fire at the earliest. But you can see in the visuals that all that Kallu Mia had here in Gurugram has been lost in this fire. And this used to be a shop of mattress and also the coolers which Kallu Mia used to run at this particular place. But he has been saying continuously that he was not guilty, and there's no reason as to why anybody would set fire on his shop. But you can see that this is the the picture which is coming in very strongly. There are many of the people, when these kind of incidents take place, despite being at no fault, they suffer the most.
44 FIRs have been registered, 80 people have been...
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Let's talk about some international stories that we're tracking this evening. Legal troubles for the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, don't seem to be ending anytime soon, because for a third time, the former US president now, in fact, has been indicted, and this time around for his interference as far as the 2020 elections were concerned. We're now understanding the former president, in fact, has been indicted on 4 different counts. What is crucial to understand here is if there is a conviction, he could stand in prison for as much as 50 years. The larger question also is, how will this impact his presidential bid as far as 2024 is concerned? Let's take all those questions to our colleague from CNN, Caitlin Polaz, who in fact is now joining us. Caitlin, appreciate you taking out the time and joining us this evening. As I pointed out, legal troubles for the former US president only increasing. This time around, we're seeing a third indictment for him. Could you talk to us about the counts on which this indictment has come? If I understand this correctly, I believe there are 4 different counts.
Right. So this indictment, it covers a very large amount of activity after the 2020 election by Donald Trump. It's alleging essentially a set of conspiracies, 3 different conspiracies that the Justice Department believes were crimes. They're going to go to trial on that very likely. Donald Trump is likely to appear in court in person tomorrow in Washington, D.C. and plead not guilty. But the crimes that he is accused of in this particular set of charges are conspiracy to defraud the United States government, conspiracy to obstruct the congressional proceedings on January 6th, so the Electoral College vote, and then conspiracy to deprive people of rights, deprive people of their right to vote, essentially a voter disenfranchisement charge. And so those pieces, the reason that he is accused of those is because Donald Trump is accused of taking steps to use his authority and also to use others around him, a set of conspirators who are not charged in this case but have been identified by the Justice Department as a set of lawyers and others working with him who wanted to spread disinformation and then put pressure on the Justice Department, on the court system, on state legislatures, and also to use electors in states as a way to undermine what the vote result was. And they outlined state by state how this went down, phone calls Trump and others were making to people individually, and the exact discussions that were happening behind the scenes where Donald Trump and his conspirators were saying that there was fraud, and the people that were very close advisors to him, his formal campaign entity, were saying the opposite. There was not fraud that they could see, and that what he was doing was wrong. He needed to stand down.
Caitlin, I also want to understand, if I understand this correctly again, as part of the indictment, there are about 6 unidentified people who they believe helped the former president as far as trying to overturn the electoral process in the bid is concerned. Do we have any idea who these people are?
We do, in fact. So there are 6 listed in the charges. They are not named and they are not charged with any crime at this time, although the special counsel's office has already made clear that they are still looking at other individuals, their actions. The investigation may be ongoing here. However, these 6 people, we've identified 5 of them. They are some of the bold-faced names that you would recognize from after the 2020 election, people who have become quite famous in the United States for their affiliations with Donald Trump and for their work on his behalf after the election. People like his top advisor, Rudy Giuliani, who became so well known as the mayor of New York City during September 11th many years ago, now has become a person that was closely aligned with Trump after the election, spreading disinformation, trying to take court cases through the system. And also a woman named Sidney Powell, another lawyer who has represented people in Donald Trump's circles before. She also was out there quite publicly after the election, spreading disinformation, wanting to challenge the results result of the election. There's some others named, a Justice Department official named Jeffrey Clark, another lawyer named John Eastman, an additional lawyer named Ken Cheesebro, and then there is a sixth person, a political consultant whom we have not named, and the Justice Department also doesn't name. But all of these people are alleged to have been working together with Trump to spread the disinformation at a time that was quite separate and apart from what his campaign, what the Republican Party, and others around Donald Trump, even in his White House, wanted to do.
True. Caitlin, I also want to understand, if convicted, what is the former president looking at?
That is a great question. I mean, much will depend on whether Donald Trump wins the presidency and wins the Republican nomination for the presidency in 2024. If he does win the presidency again, he becomes a person with an inordinate amount of power, specifically over what the Justice Department does. The Justice Department is bringing this case against him at this time. He also would have pardon authority as the president, and this is a case in federal court, so he very well could explore the idea of pardoning himself or dismissing the charges against him if he were to become president again. However, if he does not, right, if he doesn't win the nomination, doesn't win the presidency, he did lose in 2020 pretty sizably in the states that were battleground states throughout the country. Donald Trump very likely could be convicted. He also could be acquitted by a jury. It's very unpredictable what a jury would do. They would look at the case, they would spend some time with it. They would be asked to take it quite seriously, to look at the evidence, look at the facts, and determine that there may be proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that they are unanimous in believing that he should either be convicted or acquitted. So that is how that trial process would play out. If he were to be convicted, he could be looking at several years in jail. These are quite hefty charges that have maximum sentences of decades in prison.
Caitlin, lastly, before we let you go, I just want to understand, till now the former president has been pretty unfazed as far as his legal troubles are concerned. How do you see this impacting the 2024 presidential bid?
Well, it already is something that the candidates in the Republican Party who are running against Donald Trump are coming out and saying quite publicly that this should be taken quite seriously, that it should be assessed. And there has been a lot of political grappling with January 6th, with what the rioters did. Donald Trump has really coddled them since he left the presidency in a lot of ways. But ultimately, it is up to voters, and we will not know exactly how voters are reacting to this many months until now, when people start going to the polls, people start caucusing to determine the Republican nominee. And in this situation, there is a long road ahead in court. A lot of things could happen. There could be additional charges, and the investigation could result in us learning much more about what happened on January 6th.
True, Caitlin, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Appreciate you helping us with all those details. Let's take a look at some reports also coming in to try and understand, will this be a turning point as far as the election bid for 2024 is concerned?
More problems for Donald Trump. A grand jury indicting the former president on 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and to obstruct an official proceeding in the special counsel investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election leading up to the January 6th Capitol riot.
We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue and we're going to the Capitol. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
The former president lashing out on Truth Social, claiming special counsel Jack Smith is interfering with the 2024 presidential election.
This is harassment. This is election interference.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies.
For months, special prosecutors brought witnesses in front of a grand jury, several of whom appeared under subpoena, ranging from low-level aides to former Vice President Mike Pence as they built their case.
In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens. In the meantime, I must emphasize that the indictment is only an allegation and that the defendant must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
Everybody has their day in court. So it will be determined if he can fight a jury of his peers, which would be difficult, and to really get to the bottom and the truth of things, because no one is above the law.
I think it's an embarrassment for the country. I mean, that's the former president. He was just indicted on election fraud. It's pretty embarrassing, isn't it?
It's wonderful. I'm thrilled because, I don't know. Some people say the indictments are working for him and some against him, but I looked at the paper today, and according to statistics, he's beating Biden by, a lot.
It was a long time coming. This should have happened a long time ago.
Let's also now get you a wrap of some other stories that we are tracking. Bihar's Rural Development Minister Shravan Kumar spoke to News18, where he indicated that Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar could contest the 2024 Lok Sabha elections from the Phulpur seat in Uttar Pradesh. Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court reserved an order on the anticipatory bail application filed by Jagdish Titler into the probe in his role in the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. The order is slated to be pronounced on the 4th of August. Sacked Rajasthan Minister Rajendra Gura has started releasing pages of the mysterious Red Diary. According to him, it contains directions of Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot during an IT and ED raids against Congress leader Dharmendra Rathore, among other financial transactions. Gura has also stated that he will release Part 2 if he is sent to jail. Gehlot has dismissed these charges. Rain havoc continues in Himachal Pradesh. A 40-meter-long highway was washed away after a landslide at the NH5 connecting Chandigarh and Shimla. The highway is located near Solan district. Art director Nitin Desai died by suicide. His body was found at 9 a.m. this morning at his studio, according to the SP of the Raigad Police. Investigation into his death is currently underway. Condolences are pouring in. His studio had reportedly defaulted on over 200 crore rupee loan. He had worked in famous films like Lagan, Jodha Akbar and even Devdas. Well, with that, we've completely run out of time as far as this edition of Nation at 5 is concerned. But news continues here on CNN News 18. Viewpoint is up next.
Do you feel that this survey will clinch for the Hindu side the fact that this temple was indeed raised, of course, as per historical records too, and a mosque was built over it? Is that the game set match here?
इंडियन नेशनल डेवलपमेंटल इंक्लूसिव अलायंस का पर्याय हिंदी में सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका प्रयास, सबका विश्वास है। क्या सही मायने में आपकी अलायंस भारत के हित के लिए बनी है कि स्वहित के लिए बनी है? Ask the Home Minister, ask the Prime Minister the tough questions on what they did and did not do in Manipur. But instead, you are lending the government an opportunity to claim that it's not them who's running away from the debate, but it's you, the opposition.
Good evening and a warm welcome. I'm Griha Atul and you're watching Viewpoint. The situation continues to remain tense in Haryana and parts of Rajasthan. Though today, members of the Bajrang Dal and the Vishva Hindu Parishad held protest rallies in several parts of Delhi against the communal violence that took place in Nuh. This even as the Supreme Court has issued notices to the states of Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Delhi governments in the wake of the communal clashes, directing the centre to ensure no hate speech or violence takes place